Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about three things that happened to us on our trip from Texas to California. I did a video on it last week, I think it was, and wanted to touch on a few things that actually happened to us that were not our favorite things, but it's part of doing a long trip, I guess. Okay, so first thing that happened on our first day that we took off, everything was good. Like I said, we took 287 up to Amarillo. From Amarillo, we hit Interstate 40. I was on Interstate 40 probably about 10 miles, maybe 15 miles, and it was a pretty windy day. If you guys know that stretch of road, it's very windy. And I passed a truck, 18 wheeler came across me, come past me, and I was heading that way. And the top, the oh, the emergency exit on the top, we had one that would come loose. Me and my sister, we opened it when we first got the bus, and we actually broke it, and it didn't set straight. It stayed on top, but it wasn't. It was still loose. I got it a little bit secured. I thought I had it set pretty good. I put a little bit of tape on it, but wasn't enough. The top flew off. It went up. My wife was behind me, following me in the truck, and it went off to the side. And luckily, it hit off the side of the road, so it didn't hit anybody. It hit nothing oncoming. Didn't hit her behind us, and it was great. The wind was blowing this way. Picked it up, took it off, got it off the side of the road. So that was the first thing that happened to us on our way out, which was pretty bad, but that's not the worst thing that happened to us. The second thing that happened to us was probably the worst thing that happened to us. We hit Santa Rosa for the night, and it was our first night. Great, everything was good. We hooked up. It's the first time I got a chance to hook up all of the. I have had the electrical hooked up. I had some water hooked up, but I didn't have sewage. And I mean, everything worked. It was fine. We tested it. Everything was good. But so that night we had 30 amps, and we had sewage, and we had water. Everything was hooked up. So we thought, okay, well, let's go ahead and do a load of laundry, because I forgot what happened. Something got wet. Anyway, we were going to go ahead and wash it and see if we can get it dry throughout the night. But and so what we ended up doing was we got to the place where we were going to stay. We paid our fee. We got hooked up. Everything was good, and we're gonna go ahead and set the water to running. We can get the we can do the washing machine while we were going out to get something to eat, which was going to be perfect. We'd go out, get something to eat while the washing machine's running. We'd come back and, put everything away. But what, what happened was, I'm laughing at my wife. What happened was we take off. Everything works great. We hook it up. We take off. We go get something to eat, and we have a good time. I think we had Mexican food that night, but it was pretty cool. It was quiet. There wasn't that many people out. I think it was a Thursday night. Wednesday night, Thursday night. But so we come back to the bus. First thing we see when we get to the bus, there's water everywhere. Water's coming out the sides of the bus, the back of the bus, the sides, everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's a lot of water. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, what in the heck? And I thought about it for maybe 10 seconds. I knew what I did. I plugged it up. I hooked up the hose out there to go into the sewage. I got it all set up. Everything was great. But I forgot to open the gate, and you guys know what I'm talking about if you've seen the RVs. I forgot to pull the gate, and we had the water going. We came in, and the water had filled, because the tub is the lowest to the ground, so that fills up first. And everything that was in the tub was wet. Everything that was, was overflowing. Water was going everywhere. And, I was freaking out. So what we ended up doing was we spent that whole next hour probably cleaning up as best we can, getting the water out. Luckily, it was super windy that night, super windy. We left everything open the best we could. And I had a drain hole back here on this side because everything pulls over to this side, so I know everything got out. But it got wet, and anyway, it was horrible. Water was everywhere, and that was a stupid rookie mistake, and I can't believe I did it the very first night we had out there. But that was probably the worst thing that happened to us. But the next night we went over to my brother-in-law's house, and we crashed there, which was great. Then we went on that day. We went from there to Flagstaff, and that was another actually about an 8 or 9 hour drive through Flagstaff. So we got to Flagstaff, and I mean, I wasn't going to do that again, right? So we hooked everything up. Everything was fine. It was cold up there. It was going to get down to like 28, 29 degrees in the morning, and I got to everything done, everything hooked up again. I paid my dues. Everything was. I got a 50 amp that night, which was really great. But what I didn't anticipate was I went out to the back, and we got the storage on the bottom at the back. You open up the storage, and it's undercarriage storage right there. And right there on top of that is where I put my water inlet, which is right back here. The water inlet, and the problem I had was I bought a plastic one, and it was cold, so brittle. I get out there, you know where this is going. I opened up I opened up the door to it, and it's, you know, the door stops here, and it's probably about this much, about that much of room. But the thing is, the water hose comes out, and it basically, to open that door, you got to hit that water hose. Well, I guess I hit it too hard, and I ended up breaking that water hose thing. So that wasn't that big of a deal because we have water bottled, and anyway, you know how it is. You can't get to use your whole rig the way you want it, and it was all set up to it, and it was a pain in the ass from there because we had a couple of more nights that we had to stay, and we couldn't use full hookups, and it was frustrating, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world. All right, bonus one. That was 3 things, but I did have one more thing. The chandelier right here, this to my left, is the chandelier that's on top of the entrance. You know, where you come in the door. There's my door right there. But the very first chandelier, you haven't look at my videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we have a chandelier sitting up there, but somewhere along the way, those bouncy roads, the chandelier just didn't hold up, and it broke, and it fell all the way to the bottom. And I took about a month, but finally got that back up. But that was the 4 things that happened to us. So it's not all fun and games and rosy, but depending on how you look at it, it was a good trip. I look back on it, I'm super happy about the trip. It was 5 days on the road. One day was a little short one, so really it's really 4 days that we could have heavy driving. But 5 days on the road, and I look back on it, and I'm happy with it. Everything had worked out great, even with those couple of mishaps right there. So if you're going to go out and do it, like I say, go out and do it, have a good time, and keep a good attitude, even if the bad things do happen.